Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. This next one comes from Augustine Keys Music. And this is in response to a video I did in December 2021 called The Death of the Kronos. I'm still completely flabbergasted how many views this particular video got. But it says, "Hello sir, can you help me? I'm having a problem with my Korg Kronos 2013. So this must have been one of the first models. The problem I'm facing when I'm turning it on," and he basically sent me a video, which was, I suppose it looks like an update issue. And again, I apologise in that I can't directly help with some of these questions. I just don't have the time to get really involved, but I always try to give you how I start my troubleshooting. Now, the first one is, have you undertaken an update? Because it looks like you have. And if you have, and this is the result of the update, then I think your best option is to ring Korg support, because you're going to have to wind the update back and you're going to need their help to do it. Although you might be able to get some help from Mr. Kronos, which is Francis. And again, I'll leave a link, if I remember, to Francis's web YouTube channel, and you can contact the guy directly from there. If not, then what I'd do is I'd open the unit up and physically check all the connectors. Now, if you move your Kronos around a lot, then there have been numerous occasions of the connectors working themselves loose, and all you literally need to do is pull the connectors off, put the connectors back on, be careful not to bend any pins. So when I say pull it off, it's a gentle pull and a gentle push. What that does is it just means the metal will slide against the metal, and if there's been any oxidation on the pins, then that oxidation is effectively knocked off. And when you say oxidation, it's reality that anything that's in oxygen, any metal that is in oxygen at some point will oxidize to some degree, which is basically a level of atoms that are non-conductive. In a really, really simplistic explanation, by the way, just before some people say, "Oh, no, it's just simplistic." That's the high-level stuff. You might need to remove the connectors and reseat them, which is what I've already talked about. The other thing is to ensure that the connector and power to the SSD is properly seated. Again, probably just pull the connector off, put the connector back on. And by the way, do all this with the power turned off. And the last comment probably is to ensure that the RAM on the motherboard is seated, because again, the RAM moves. And I actually get that on one of the machines I have here, which is one of the legacy machines, that every now and then, even though I don't move the machine is static, every now and then I just have to pop the cover off and just give the RAM a wiggle, and then everything pops back to life. Why? Well, even when you don't move things at the atomic level, the electrons move, and that means that even though you can't see it, the actual boards themselves very, very slightly move. There's also expansion and contraction from heat, which is another issue. So the boards get hot, they expand, the boards get cold, they contract, and the contacts don't quite align. So you just need to give them a bit of a wiggle. Now, the problem is, if you've gone through that kind of list of checklist points and it still doesn't work, you know what? It's ringy dingy time. You're on the phone at Korg support, because you're probably going to have to go and find a service engineer. And service times on Kronos, if you can't find a good service engineer, tend to be quite long. Now, I've always found Korg support in the UK to be extremely good. They've always responded to me very, very quickly. But I have heard that in other regions of the world, that is not necessarily the case. Next comment or question comes from Gerald Havina in response to "Are keyboard players now beta testers?" A video I did or a rant I did September 2022. And Gerald writes, "New agile development models. Customer does the testing. Minimal viable product at the time of release." What do you think about that? Because that is really, really where I think we are going with this stuff. It's all software driven. You know, what Gerald's comment says is he's spot on. It is minimal viable product. It's what can you get to get it into the market? Or MVP, as we say in software circles. It's hope that the delivered platform meets a minimum standard and the manufacturers can keep your interest enough to develop the platform. They sell enough units that it makes it worthwhile to carry on developing the platform. My worry is that those platforms are discontinued before really reaching their full potential. I use the example of the Korg Oasis in this instance. Although many might argue that the Kronos was the potential, I would argue that Oasis had so much more potential to it. It was such a better keyboard than the Kronos in terms of the functional layout of it. Not better keyboard in terms of how the Kronos sounded or the capability of the Kronos, but the Oasis had so much potential that was kind of cut off in its prime, if you like.